Oh, moment, I have to leave. Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
Oh, crap.
Ich kann gucken. Ich gehe da drüben einfach hin.
Can you hear us? No, they say they cannot hear us.
Now it should work.
They still say they can't hear us. Now they say they can hear us. Wonderful. Okay, that's great. Cool to...
Let's see if we can get also the speakers.
Okay.
I think you're live. We are live.
Okay, cool. Then let's start. Welcome, everybody. I think I have to mute the YouTube, otherwise I hear myself with a 10-second delay a second time, which is really annoying. So yeah, welcome everybody to our very first online DevOps meetup in Stuttgart. We are all a little excited because we never did that before, and we hope that things work out as we planned. I'm super happy that Malte and Thiago from Zoe joined me before organizing this, because I would have had no clue how to set all the streaming up and stuff. So thank you for that. And yeah, maybe some background on why we are here or what inspired us to do this. I wrote a tweet a few days ago and asked people whether they would be willing to join a meetup also online. And yeah, you can see the responses on the screen right now. So we are afraid we won't have any pizza and beer delivered tonight. And we really hope it won't be boring. But yeah, at least 50% of the 40 people who answered wanted to have one, and here we go with our very first online version. The topic for tonight will be remote working, since I think it hit all of us this week. And we tried to collect some ideas, maybe also some questions or some concerns that we have around remote working, since there might be some people who are more used to this than others. And for those of you for who this is new, we hope to present some useful tips and make you more comfortable with this working mode. So Malte, do you want to present our plan for tonight?
Yeah, sure. So our plan for today is we thought a little bit how we can make it as interactive as possible. For that, we have a second Meet, a Google Meet, where we can discuss. So all the people you see by video are currently in that Meet. We thought it's maybe a little bit too hard to have all that participants in one discussion, and also with the mute hack you normally know from large meetings, that we keep it small. Everyone who wants to participate is welcome. So we will share the link in a moment. Important would be please mute yourself. It should not be that everyone is talking zigzag the whole time if you want just to participate.
Sorry to interrupt you, but people say that your voice is double, so maybe you have to change something.
Let me test. Is it once now? Let me check the comments. Too many screens, don't be...
They say it's better now and you should reduce your speaker volume.
Yeah, perfect. So the idea was that, or the plan was that we set it up in that way that we have one Google Meet. The Google Meet is made for discussions. Wait a moment. Perfect. No echo. I have someone sitting there who gives me signals. So we have one Google Meet where we make the discussions. Everyone is welcome to join that meet if you want to participate in that discussion. Important would be just please mute yourself if you join. And also, not too many people should talk at the same time. Then we stream that Google Meet to YouTube. This is where you're looking now. And it's a little bit delayed. So we try to keep that as low as possible, but I think we have still 5 seconds delay because of what we are sometimes confused. So if you join, maybe also mute YouTube. Otherwise, you will get super confused as well. Maybe also an idea, because we just wanted a little bit more interactive. It would be great if you can tell in the chat where you're coming from, because normally in the meetup we just see the people are here. Maybe if you come from Leonberg, Holzgerlingen, Stuttgart, Feuerbach, whatever, that you maybe know who's around of you. Michael, can you share the link? Oh. Or someone else? So we will share the link in a moment. Please mute yourself and keep in mind that you also mute YouTube, otherwise it will get strange. This is our first remote week meetup. So if we make some mistakes or you think something could be better, please write us on Twitter, for example, Michael or me. We would be happy to make it better the next time. Yes. Correct. I switch shortly back to the agenda. To give you some idea, we thought maybe for the first time we have 3 discussions and 3 presentations before. So the idea would be that we present and then you can unmute yourself, go into a discussion if you have points. Otherwise, just keep muted. And yeah, in the end, we can maybe discuss in a larger round and collect some ideas or topics or formats we can do the next time. Because it's really, I think it lives also what you give as ideas and topics. Good. Anything else? No. Michael, did I miss something?
Sorry, I was kicked out and only came back.
I think. Back? Better. Okay. Then maybe start. Wait a moment. I have to accept the invites. Ooh.
Can Diago maybe join or accept invites?
I can.
I do so already. So just
Okay.
keep on going.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Good. Learn something for the next time, otherwise it will always ring for me. Good. So then I would say maybe we wait till everyone is in the meet. Whoa, 14. Holy moly. Let's wait for a moment.
Wait for the breaking down.
Whew. Just to recap, you will be live on YouTube. So if you want to be filmed, maybe keep your camera off. 10, 16, anyone else? No, perfect. Then I would say we start. I would do the first one. Then Lena, I think, will say something, and then we have someone else which will talk about Tmax. Good. So what I will tell you today a little bit more. So we hosted the meetups or some of the meetups in the last time, and we were quite happy to host it. Currently, the situation makes a little bit harder to do that. And I want to share some of how we work internally, what our systems look like, why maybe the technical topic is not too hard for us. Bling, bling. Why the technical topics are not so hard for us. But of course, we have other problems as well now. So it's not that the world is awesome for us. We have really also some interesting challenges. Something about me. My name is Malte. So hi. I work at Zoe as a manager, responsible for topics like infrastructure, IT security. Like to develop a little bit. I'm not a developer, but I like to develop. If you want to reach me, here are the contact details. It's important to show or to tell a little bit more how we were founded and what we are doing right now. So we tried since the beginning 2.5 years ago to be a good employer and an interesting employer. We directly founded some offices in Stuttgart and one in Berlin. We are over 90 employees right now. And yeah, it was always this or what we want to achieve. And even where we started, we thought, okay, we want to be global. We want to have our IT that it's working global, that our employees can work from everywhere. We are a lot on the go. So our can I do something? Okay, you will figure out how to use Google Meet. We are on the way or on the go mostly or the most time of the week. We have a strong IT focus. So how should we set up our IT environment? And I'm not sure what you would do, but 3 years ago we decided to really do cloud only. It was not easy in the beginning, and I think we get a lot of questions how to do that, and does it really make sense, and data privacy concerns and all that stuff. But we decided just to use cloud. So that means also within our company or within us, you don't need VPN. Of course, you need VPN if you want to access some customer systems because they're not so flexible. But we really, in our office, we just have plain internet. There's nothing else. There is a printer, and that's it. Every employee since the beginning got a mobile number. We decided actively against fixed desk phones and stuff. We only have notebooks, so no desktop computers. And with that, it's quite that our environment itself is quite flexible. And the other topics or the other systems we're using, we are 100% on G Suite. So that helps currently also a lot. We have no faxing machines here. We just use zip. We have some servers in GCP or AWS, but we really try to keep as less footprint on our premises as possible. So mostly the opposite, what a lot of others are doing. And we also have some stuff on the premises, but that's really, I tried yesterday where I prepared the slides to collect what we have, and it's really just a printer, which has an IP address and our Wi-Fi access points, and that's it. So there is no router, there is nothing. And for that, it's that we are used to work like that. So in the last years, we worked mostly the whole time with remote meetings. We have colleagues all over the world. So I think 3 or 4 meetings we have remote participants within. So we're used to do that remotely. Of course, we are also used to do that a lot more, also in a personal way. We have no technical problems, so our devices and stuff are working quite good. Also, the connectivity things other companies have are not a problem right now, but just with the help of the cloud services we use. So I think it's also an opportunity to make use of that right now. And if you don't do that right now, I just really can recommend from my perspective, start using the cloud now, because currently what we see also at our customers is that now the right place or the right time is to start now, because this is the only thing you can get ASAP or now. You can go after that meet and say, okay, I want to use remote meetings like we do. It's just a matter of clicks. You have it. You don't have to purchase hardware licenses, too complex stuff. And it's also important that the most things work much more smooth than you may expect. So it's not that you need a whole IT department to do that stuff. You really can do that by your own in a matter of hours, of course, depending on the size. Also, I think currently it's a good point, because the business and the IT security is most probably on your side. They will not block you because they have obviously some other topics to work on, and they have to get their people out to the home offices. And another nice point is really you can remove it afterwards. So if you decide, hey, we just want to use it for the current situation, scale out to video meets or to Microsoft Teams, to G Suite, whatever, use AWS, GCP, no matter what, you can scale it down afterwards. So it's not that it's super expensive or so, it's just for the time you need, and afterward the costs are gone. I have 2 examples. What we did, for example, in the last days for our clients or also for other people I know. And for example, just that you really see, it's not that you can't do that, it's really more that you have to start with that. We started and pre-planned G Suite rollout, so we speeded that up a little bit. And by that, we synced up to 13,000 employees to G Suite. Because in the end, you set up the environment, you run an LDAP sync, you set up SAML, which is all no black magic. It's really, if you did that before, it's not too complex, and activated a limited set of features. So like Google Meet or Google Chat, it's similar to Slack. Maybe you can also join the Slack channel of the Meetup afterward, which is also a cloud service, which is maybe helpful. And the second topic we did in the last days was to scale out client VPN. So a lot of our customers, and also if I hear in the IT guy area, there are a lot of problems because all the companies send out their employees, and they have really trouble to scale out their existing hardware. And what we did, for example, and as I said, you can also do it by your own. It should not be sales, really. Pick a cloud provider you like and start doing it after that or tomorrow. You can really also purchase licenses and stuff over that. So if you want to say, okay, or you say we have to stick on Cisco systems, then why not purchase an ISA at AWS and scale that out there. The licenses is on an hourly base. So if you don't like it, kick it into the trash. Yeah, pay as you go. And you can also scale it up. So it's really not a problem. And if you never used the cloud before, maybe it's the right time to do it today. So if I want something you keep from that evening or from my talk is don't scare that. Go for it. Use it, try it. which cloud provider, independent, but try out if that helps you and your company maybe in that situation. As I said, for us, the most technology points are solved. So easy peasy, no, it's not. So of course we have also a huge load of shit we have to take care about. That's not a lot of technical stuff, but it's, for example, the informal communication we have most probably as you. How should the people communicate on a daily basis? They are used, of course, to use chat, but in the home office you get lonely. It's really not good. Normally you have the coffee machine and see some colleagues a day. We are still working how to replace that. So for example, we are currently testing, or will start beginning of next week or end of this week, if we invite for a breakfast, for example, together as a video meeting. So for colleagues which are in the area and are really just here for working in their apartment and are alone, that they can meet on a regular basis and eat together or get some social interaction, not on a business reason, so that they can talk open also about the situation, what other think, because of course, if you live here, you have family you can call, which are in a similar situation, but we try also there to do more stuff. The next thing I think is the culture. So in the past, we did often events like we go together, play laser tag from a business reason, but of course also the people by their own play football, whatever. It's hard to replace that. So we also think what we can do here. I'm not sure, maybe in the discussion afterward, I would be super curious if you have already found something to replace that. If you make gaming together via stream, that you talk with your colleagues or whatever, play board games on a digital way. And also the communication is still a problem, even if it works internally, so the tools are there. It's a quite huge change how to communicate with the customers, because a lot of the customers maybe have cloud services, but then it's disabled for external partners to communicate with them. They are also overloaded with the situation, so that's also a challenge. Maybe we can, if you have ideas or topics afterward, we can discuss, because that's still a challenge. They're not all compatible, so Microsoft Teams will not work with G Suite. There are a lot of different settings you can not help. Question noted, okay. Which would be interesting if you have experience in that. And I think that's all I want to share. So if there are discussions or interest for discussions, maybe unmute yourself one after the other. Now this becomes interesting at 19 people. Who's the first who unmutes? Let's try that. I think the colleagues in the stream are 5 seconds ahead of the rest, so let's see if someone tries to say something.
I can start with a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was wondering, did you experience any outages during the last couple of days, or let's say some reduced quality, or even not only service outages, but internet outages, or was everything fine for you?
I'm not sure what an internet outage is and what an service outage is, because in the home office, it's hard to ask someone else in that situation. I have the feeling sometimes that it's a little bit slower than usually, but no real outages. I'm not sure if there are other experiences around that area or at all. I just read about that some providers has really trouble. Some other providers have trouble and try also to handle that huge load which is coming. Anyone else? Ideas, thoughts? I would be super curious how to handle really that last slide. So these points. So how to handle the internal communication, keep people on board or informed internally, keep them interested and not getting lonely in the office. home office? No one? Okay, 18. Couldn't read that, too fast. Okay, if no one wants, then I would say then we maybe can. Yeah. Oh, you're back.
Did you answer the question about your experience with Office 365 and Microsoft Teams? There was a question in the chat.
No, let me see. I have to think a little bit. How I have 3 screens on which I do that best. Yeah, maybe let's try that. As you see. So let's see. Normally the picture should now be gone. So question. I think it doesn't matter. So for the Microsoft Teams in Office 365, I have no real opinion on that. I think all tools are equally good if you have nothing right now. And maybe that's now not the situation where you should make huge and long comparisons between cloud providers. So I think there are preferences for each solution, but currently I think it doesn't matter. I like really offer G Suite, but if you have already a huge Microsoft environment or you have already set up the authentication, why not use that? Anything else?
There was a comment in the chat that said he is working for 5 years in home office, and at the end it was 2 hours a day calling colleagues, and I was wondering, sorry, looked like a he. I'm sorry, Andy. She ended up calling, having calls with colleagues for 2 hours a day. So I was wondering, was she happy that it's been only 2 hours, or did she think that 2 hours were quite long?
That's a good question. May she answer? I'm not sure. And Andy, was it right?
Wenn ich die Taste fürs Mikro finde.
Yay!
Yeah, Andy is Maria because Maria doesn't know her Google login. So I used someone else's login. Well, we had the calls in order to fix stuff that was useful to the customers, and also in order to have some coffee and to know that the others are there. But we were a small team, so it worked.
So you would say you enjoyed the 2 hours talking to the colleagues?
Yeah, it was kind of what's Erfolge in English? Success, right? Yeah, we talked about success stories we had that day, and it was great. But well, it was 2 hours a day. So
I think for what I experience and what's maybe a difference to regular home office, if you have a regular home office situation, you can go afterward to the pub and sing karaoke or go playing soccer. And I think also the most of that side activities, which are completely not related to the business, are also gone. And therefore, this is a point I really see. So not just company culture itself, how to handle that. Okay, anyone else? So there are so many people who join because they want to discuss, and no one looks like they fear.
Yeah, maybe we can just go on with the presentation, and maybe that triggers a few more questions or triggers more discussion.
Sure. Then Lina, I would say.
Actually, I think it's me.
I think Michael, actually.
Perfect.
So-
Wait a moment.
We'll share my screen. Can everybody see my screen? Or am I gone now? I think Malte is still figuring out something. Yeah, I get a lot of no's and nopes here. It's really funny. It's 3 chat channels now. It's Slack, YouTube, and this Google Meet. Oh, there is a question at the YouTube chat. Okay, so the first question is, can you really compensate human work interaction by gaming? Malte, do you want to take on that?
Microphone.
Malte, you're muted.
Muted, Malte.
Oh, well, I definitely don't think this will work. The question would be, what are the alternatives right now?
So, can people see my screen now? Okay, super cool. So maybe first of all, let's answer those questions. So the first question was, can you really compensate human work interaction by gaming? And I think no, you can't. Yeah, you can't just keep up part of the social interaction that you normally have in the office and provide a space to the people to exchange all the things that are not directly related to work, but still very important to find a place in your daily work life. And the second question I think is really interesting. Have you established a morning afternoon routine to connect to each other? So I can only talk about our company right now. And on Monday, we set up what we call the Morgenkreis 2.0, because quite a few of my colleagues also have children like I have. And we were wondering, how can we better include the children in this new home office situation? And what we do is we meet at 8:15 every morning together with the children, let them share something they did the other day, let them show their favorite toy, let them build something out of paper and stuff like that, so that they know what daddy or mommy is doing during the day. Maybe you can share some other routines you came up with.
May I say something for that?
Of course, everyone can talk.
So it's Kati, and actually I'm from Finland, but now living here in Germany. In Finland, it's like the same situation than here, and the schools are closed and the kindergartners are still running, but a lot of people, or most of the people, are already at home office, and it's pretty typical there. But now with the kids, it's a little bit problematic. And I have seen so many pictures and videos from Finland where the kids have like a own tablet or a laptop or something, and they are playing with the other kids, like the kindergarten groups, if they have the possibility to use this kind of tools. And then they are sharing what they are doing and all that. So at the same time, the parents can work and be on the meetings, and but there are all kind of tools in internet, but I think most of them are not working here in Germany. Like for the school kids, you don't have that kind of systems and programs, what they have it in some of the countries, but hopefully they are coming here also in this crisis.
So there was another question in the chat from Fabian. He was asking, how do you overcome problems of cultural origin with just remote sessions? So may I ask, you mean problems that existed before this home office thing, or problems that come up with the situation, or what do you exactly mean? Is Fabian here?
It's in the chat.
Okay, so can somebody answer this, or does somebody want to say something about this? He's talking about being on time for meetings and stuff like that. I don't know whether that's a cultural problem or just a personal problem.
I would, Michael, I would have a question concerning Morgenkreis 2.0.
Yes.
Have you, how's the experience with it? Because at the moment I have 3 kids at home, and in the morning 3 boys, and it gets really busy, especially in the morning. And I think actually it could be interesting, but to try out. But yeah, I cannot imagine how it works. Actually.
Okay, so I don't want to hijack this for the topic, but maybe just some experience. So the first day was really exciting. There were many kids there. I think everyone was excited because it was completely new for them. We also managed to sing a song at the end, which is quite complicated with the delay and everything, but we did quite well, I think. So the first day I was super excited. The second day, I think it was a little less exciting. And then I think it went better again after that. But I think it's important that you prepare something. So only have them sit in front of the computer and think that something will happen, I think doesn't work out. You should give it a topic and maybe let them prepare paper planes, or let them bring their favorite toy, or practice a song with them that you can then sing. So I would say don't expect something exciting to happen without preparation, but if you prepare something, it's quite nice.
Thanks. Yeah, interesting take. I have to think about it, but probably, yeah. Very cool. Yeah.
A technical question. The YouTube channel is empty right now, so could someone of you guys share his screen?
Yeah, I will start sharing, and I think Malte stopped until I continue. Is that true, Malte? Oh, I think Malte is gone.
No, I'm still there. I have just too many buttons to press.
Okay, so
yes,
we continue?
Because when we switch over the stuff, maybe we can have a discussion slide in between. So mark for myself for the next time. Perfect. Now it should begin in 5 seconds again, if the latency is gone.
Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yeah, it's there. Yes.
Okay, perfect. So hello again from my side. The topic I brought with me for tonight is something that I'm really excited about in general, which is pair programming. And I tried to come up with some maybe special topics around remote pair programming. My name is Michael Lies. I'm working for a company called ThoughtWorks. I'm an infrastructure consultant there, and I mainly focus on topics like microservices, containers, infrastructures, code, automation, and testing. But I'm also always excited about this cultural thing that happens around software development, around teams, and nowadays around teams that work remotely. So maybe a little context about the project that I'm currently working in. We are, I would say, a highly distributed team with about 60 people from 3 different companies. We work across 5 different cities and 2 time zones with a gap of, I think, 6 hours. And yeah, since maybe most of you, we are working completely from home since Monday. So I would say the project context helped us right from the beginning of this home office period, that we were quite used to remote work, and we also had a lot of tools in place. And it was not a completely new experience for us. We met every day, that we had lunch with, that we could talk in between work, during breaks, have a coffee, and this is now completely gone. I'm not sure whether all of you know what pair programming is, but at ThoughtWorks, it's kind of our default way of working. So pair programming in general is 2 people working on the same task. So maybe the title is a bit misleading, because we do not only develop in this mode, we also do spikes, we write user stories, we do testing, we talk about concepts. So in other words, we try to avoid that someone works on his own, at least for a longer period of time. So why do we do this? First of all, we think that it's a great boost for knowledge transfer. So if you have more than one person working on a topic, you can be sure that that is at least the second person who knows about it very well. And if one person goes on vacation, for example, or gets sick or whatever, you have a second person, I wouldn't say as a backup, but there are two people fully capable and have all the knowledge of the topic. We also experience way less defects within our code or within our deliveries, because at least 4 eyes looked at the code and what we delivered, and not only one pair of eyes, and that reduces defects and increases also the quality of our code and the software deliveries. We also reduce information islands by not only, let's say, working in pairs on topics, but also rotating those pairs within the team. So we always try to avoid having the same 2 people working on the same topic, for example, for a whole sprint, like for 2 weeks. But we rotate within the sprint and also try to share knowledge like that. And it's a great way to learn from each other. And even if you work together with someone who is maybe less knowledgeable or has a different grade than you have, you can always learn something small, a shortcut, a tool they use, some nice font they use in their editor, whatever. There's really a lot of things you can learn, and it really brings a lot of fun at work. So I think in general, it is a great chance in this home office time to have social contact with other people, and be it only via work, but still you have social contact. I prepared a short poll. I would really be interested in, how does this work? I would really be interested in how many of you do pair programming at their company. Give me a second. Oops, where was it? Here it is. I put it in the chat. Or Malte, can you maybe put it in the chat?
I can do that.
So we can go on with the presentation, and we check the results of the poll later on. So please share with us whether you did pair programming before, whether you're familiar with it, whether you only do it face-to-face or also do it remotely. There is a big misconception, I would say, around pair programming. I hear many companies argue that pair programming halves the productivity of developers. And I think the biggest argument against this is that if that would be true, then you admit that the hardest part of programming is typing, and we all know that this is not the case. So maybe if you have to argue with someone that you are allowed to work in pairs or not, you can use this as an argument to maybe start trying it at your place as well. So let's start with some pair programming basics. I think the most important thing you should consider is that you provide a safe environment for everyone. Because we will see in a second that working in pairs shows a lot of your personality, and shows also you make yourself vulnerable to other people. And for that, I think it's very important that you stick to the prime directive. I put it on the right here. I hope all of you know it. I give you a little time to read through it. And I think that keeping this in mind helps you with providing a safe environment in which people also can make mistakes, can learn, and are willing to learn and open themselves up to you to a certain extent. So what are the challenges with pair programming? I already mentioned that you show some vulnerability. That can, for example, be the pair you work with assumes that you know something and you don't know it, and you have to say, sorry, I don't know this, can you explain it to me? And that alone is kind of showing a vulnerability which many people might feel uncomfortable with. The other challenge I face a lot is that you should really speak out loud all thoughts and actions. So there might be many things going on in your head when you do something, and you have to learn to communicate those thoughts to other people to give them a chance to follow you. And it's also a very intense collaboration. It's really exhausting. This talking and asking and discussing things all the time over a longer period is really exhausting. And we will hopefully learn some methods to make it easier. Also, personality issues can play a big role, like, for example, introverted people pairing with extroverted people, or people with different focus pairing together. And also knowledge gaps are a challenge. So to make it nice for everyone, no matter how much he already knows about the project or about the technology you use. There are basically two pair programming methods we usually talk about. The first one is what we call ping pong. And ping pong means you have two developers writing on your codebase, and you start with the first developer writing a failing test. After he or she wrote the test, he passes the keyboard to the other developer, who then writes the implementation and makes the test pass, and possibly writes the next test that will then fail, and then you repeat from the start, right? So it's maybe a test-based approach. The second one is what we call driver and navigator, and it's like in a rally, in a car rally, where you have the driver holding the steering wheel and doing the physical work, and then you have the navigator holding the map and navigating the driver. So if you transfer this to software development, this means that the driver has the keyboard and focuses on the smaller things, and the navigator gives directions and maybe keeps the larger goals in mind. And it's really important that you rotate those roles regularly. So if you are not in a situation where you only use this for knowledge sharing, let's say someone is leaving your team and you want to make sure that all the knowledge is transferred into the team, you should really regularly rotate the role. So now that we know what are the maybe benefits of pair programming and what are the challenges with pair programming in general, we can talk about some challenges when it comes to remote pair programming. So pair programming at the beginning might feel a little slow. You might have the impression that you would be way faster if you work alone. And I think this is even more the case when you work remotely, because you might have some connection issues. You might have to repeat something. People might not be able to read your screen because of video outage and all this. And also not being able to see each other makes it hard to know whether the other person is up with you or not. So it might slow down your speed. You have to show a lot of patience. What I mentioned, if you can't see your pair's expressions, it's sometimes hard to know whether he or she is still with you. And another thing I regularly face is I'm a very visual guy, and I try to draw a lot of things on the whiteboard or on a piece of paper. And working remotely, you sometimes, or you most likely don't have those possibilities. So there is no whiteboard you can easily share. There may be tools for that, but I think all of them are not as nice as having a physical board next to you and being able to draw something, or be it only a piece of paper that you put on the desk and use together. So those are the most critical challenges I face when working remotely. But there are also a lot of chances, and I think the biggest chance for the current situation where we all work in our home offices is that you have some social contact. And you can also practice a lot of skills that are maybe good for consultancy or for developer in general, because you constantly express your thoughts, and you have your thoughts challenged by someone else. You get asked questions. You have to maybe reconsider some decisions you made. So it's really great if you want to learn as a developer, as a consultant. And it's also great to learn to express yourself in a way that others can follow. Yeah, I think that's generally a good thing if you can do that. And you learn to be very precise about directions. So even more in remote pairing, where you cannot simply point to something on the screen. You have to learn some tricks to make sure the other one can follow. And there is certainly no chance to grab the keyboard for a second and just do something, which is also a bad habit in pair programming. So with remote pairing, that can't happen. So I try to collect some tips for this remote pairing situation. I try to start all my remote pairing sessions with something very personal. So it can be like asking, how is the other one doing? How was your day so far? How are your kids doing? How is the situation at home? Yeah, all this thing to come into some easy conversation right at the start. Do not dive directly into the technical topics. It also helps a lot to plan your day together. So share your calendars and block the time you want to schedule for pairing, yeah? Because all too easy, someone just calls you or chats you or texts you, and then you have to interrupt your session or can't continue after lunch or whatever. So plan your day. Try to speak very slowly and take breaks. It's really important because it's so exhausting that you take breaks regularly. I would say at least after 20 minutes, you should take a few minutes break, maybe grab some drink, talk about something else, and make sure to rotate the roles and also rotate the pairs. So let different people work on the same topic and switch between driver and navigator regularly. With remote working, this directly translates to share each other's screens and make sure that you change the screen that is shared every now and then. I already mentioned that it's really important to think out loud. It's even more important if you can't draw something or you can't see the person. It's also a good way to let back of all the things that maybe are not important in a short period of time, but maybe come up later. So collect the to-dos and follow-ups. And as a driver, talk about the code you're writing. Don't assume that the other person knows what you're doing, but explain why you're doing it this way. That is also a great chance for others to learn from you. A good thing I learned is the 5-second rule. So whenever the other person makes a mistake, do not correct him or her immediately, but wait for 5 seconds until you do so. To enable all the people in your team to work on a story, it's very important that you have what we call a proper kickoff. So kickoff is some meeting within the team where you discuss a user story before you actually start working on it. And I made the experience that sometimes when you start working on a story, or at least when you rotate the pair that's working on it or one person, there will come a lot of questions when you do not discuss the content of a story before you start working on it. It also helps to have well-defined acceptance criteria, and it's important that you involve different roles in this kickoff. For example, the developers, the business people, the quality people, and maybe also the infrastructure people, depending on the task. If you have to do some research because you do not know what to do next, it's usually good to agree upon research time, then split the pair, do the research on your own, and come back after 50 minutes or however long it takes you, and let people learn and do the research in their own pace. Because if you do it together, it might end up in a race that you don't want to have. You want to enable people to learn on their own and to do the research in their own speed. And one mistake I made quite often is I went home after work and I was so excited about the work that I opened the laptop in the afternoon or in the evening and continued working. And that was very annoying for the other person because we did all this together and then someone works on it on his or her own. So don't do this unless you agree to do so because you know that you don't have time the next day and say, okay, go ahead with that. But don't make it a bad habit that you work on it alone when you are working on it together. It's also important that you give clear instructions and make no assumptions upon what the other person knows. So that becomes easier if you do it over a longer period of time because you get to know each other much better. But at least at the beginning, make sure that you express yourself very well and do not think that the other person will know what is in your mind or will know the tool or the technique or whatever. I already mentioned that you should be very specific. A good hint, for example, if you want to point someone to something, is using the line numbers in your editor. It's a very simple thing, but it's the easiest way to give a precise direction what you're talking about. And don't overdo with tips and tricks while you are in a remote situation. So usually I try to show people, for example, some shortcuts or some shell hacks or a nice feature in the editor. But maybe remote pairing is not the right time to do a lot of that. Yeah, I will come to end with the tips and also with my slides. Some very practical thing that I recently learned is when you work in a pair on some code base, it's a good idea to add both of your pair's initials to the git commit, because the git commit will only show the person or will only show the private information of the person whose computer you used. But if you work on a pair, there are two people someone could ask if he or she has problems with something that happened in the commit. So it's nice to see who worked on that commit. Make sure to have a big font size on your screen. It's very important when you have the screen shared remotely, because if it's too small and the video connection is not that good, then the other person might not be able to read your screen. And last but not least, it's very important that you regularly collect feedback. So after each session, you can ask your pair how she or he liked it, what you can improve next time, maybe talk about some methods you want to try next time. So do that regularly and adapt your habits if necessary. The last thing I want to share with you is also something I learned recently, to make sure that you rotate pairs within sprints and also see whether this works out or not. You can create something that we call a pairing matrix. So it contains all the names of the people in your team, and the cells then show whether a combination of two people, for example, developed together, did some brainstorming together, wrote a story together, and it gives you a nice overview and maybe a hint for the next sprint who should maybe work in pair to find a good rotation. Yeah, that was it from my side. All those things were not brought up by me. I just collected them from some slides that we had in our Google Drive. And so I want to thank you as the audience and the people at ThoughtWorks who shared all this information. And I also added a lot of links to blog posts and further material around this topic. So I guess we share the slides afterwards, and you can read through the material if you are now into pair programming. Yeah, thank you.
Cool. Are there any questions or ideas to discuss or ask Michael for? Maybe if you stop sharing, then we can keep the video or I remove the sharing.
Yes, I stopped sharing. I just read through the questions and see.
Oops.
We can maybe check the poll.
Yeah. One moment. I have some technical difficulties. 1 second.
So the first question is, I mean, are you only talking about this crisis or about working remote on a regular basis? I'm not sure whether this was still the previous topic. Someone said Visual Studio Live Share rocks. Yeah, I can imagine. Unfortunately, some company restrictions might avoid you from using it. But yes, I will definitely try it. Thanks. How long does it take that a pair works fluently together? I would say that strongly depends. I worked with people, they just felt natural. With others, I had, let's say, severe issues, and it took us quite long to come into this flow. But still, I think it's now working with every member in the team, and I really enjoy it. So I would say it depends. Sometimes half an hour, sometimes a few weeks. Yeah, depends on the people. When I worked with a few girls on a circle, we drew stuff, made photos of it, and posted them into the Skype chat. That is for a hint for the whiteboard topic. There was also some ideas of tools that are in the chat right now, so maybe you want to check them. Then, yeah.
I think on YouTube there are also some questions if you use special tools for remote pairing like Fluebits.
No, we don't do. We usually stick to our default IDE, which is normally some JetBrains IDE. We do not use any other tools for that.
Okay.
Then someone asked whether I did pair programming at Bosch. Yes, I did it a lot there. But I also would say in retrospective, I made a lot of mistakes, which no one pointed to me. So if I would do it again, I hope I would do it better. Yeah. Okay, are there any other questions regarding the pair programming topic? Cool. Then I would hand over to Lena and ask her to share.
I think there is one more question for you. The last one.
And now I'm unmuted, so the question was, let me check. The question, if you have an open floor plan, it might be really annoying for your on-site coworkers if you do remote pairing for several hours each day. Yeah. We have an open floor plan, and as I said, pairing is our default way of working. So most of the time I'm not annoyed, and I think the others aren't either. And sometimes people leave the room and go to some meeting rooms to work quietly there. Sometimes the pairs leave the open floor. I would say it depends on the situation. Talk about it in your retrospectives and try to find a good solution. I think there's no general rule for that because some people might get annoyed, others don't. I don't know, Lena, what your experience is, but
Sorry, I wasn't listening.
I said that regarding the problem of annoying other people while doing pair programming in a shared office. You need to discuss it in your team and find maybe some creative solutions. Sometimes people leave the room as a pair. Sometimes the other people leave the room. Yeah, make sure to bring it up. Yeah.
They can be super loud actually, so usually they go in another room to pair.
Yeah. But it's really super fun. I don't want to miss it. And every day I'm looking forward to calling my colleagues and working on them, working together with them on our stories. So it's really the highlight of the day for me right now.
Michael, another question. So you say you're working on all topics. All the work you're doing is in pair programming. which is actually, I think it could be a great way of work, especially in remote settings, because you're hacking away on the code alone all the day. So would you suggest to try to give it a try and to really not like you, perhaps 100%, but a lot more, because we don't do it remote. I never have done it remote. Actually, I think it has really a lot of benefits.
Yeah, I can really recommend it, because I'm a person, for example, I would say I'm the 80% guy, and it's very easy for me to overlook the 20% details thing, and someone looking over the things I do gives me so much input on what I missed and how to improve the work I do, so I don't want to miss it.
Thanks.
Someone asking whether I'm in a hospital. No, my wife banned me from our public living space or the rest of our apartment, and I had to go to the sleeping room now. So it's no hospital, I'm fine. Okay then, Lena, maybe you wanna go on?
Thank you. I'll just share my screen. It doesn't let me.
Maybe Malte has to help us.
Let's
Now
try.
you actually.
I think now it comes.
Okay, do you see it?
Yes, or I can see it.
Okay, perfect. So hello everyone. My name is Lena. I'm working at ThoughtWorks as well, the same as Michael, but I'm working as a quality analyst. And what I wanted to share with you today is just some examples of how our team is working right now and the ceremonies that we implemented. It might be useful for you, might be not. I don't know, but this is just like how we're working right now. And I don't know, maybe you will get some inspiration from it. So the first thing that we have done, of course, to set up the infrastructure. It doesn't matter how good you're pairing remotely, it doesn't matter what you are doing if you don't have a monitor at home, or I don't know, if you don't have a chair to sit on. So this is kind of like a checklist. And for us, what was really important is to go through all of these points, all of this checklist, and to make sure that we have everything and everything is set up. In my team, we have I think about 20 people, and in 2 different countries. So it's in Germany and UK. And it happened that, for example, our client VPN, it wasn't working for UK. So it was a big problem, but since we started setting up infrastructure really early, we managed to fix it. And right now we are working remotely, really, really nice, really good. If you want to know more about how to set up the infrastructure and about this checklist, you can visit this website, this link. It's a ThoughtWorks checklist, and for our team, it was really useful, so maybe you can use it as well. I know that some companies, they're still not working remotely, but they are in this kind of like transition, so maybe you can use it. Another really important thing for us was that sometimes when you're sitting at home, you tend to work more. So you can grab your laptop, go to your bed and still like working, or early in the morning or whatever. So what we created for us, we decided to still stick to the routine. We had stand-up every day, I think at 10 or something, but right now we decided to move it to 9. So we start our day with a stand-up. For those who maybe don't know what is stand-up, it's just like the team gathers together to give updates about the projects, about what they are going to do today, about what they have done, or maybe some issues that they are facing, just like an overview of your plans for the day. So For us, this stand-up is like a checkpoint where we start our day. And stand down, or how we call it sundown, it's a checkpoint where we end our day. So it's really similar to stand up, but the only difference is that you just give an update of what you have done already at that day and what are your plans for tomorrow. It is really useful for you, I don't know, but for my team, we know when to start our work, we know when to finish our work, and what we says that after stand down, we are not doing anything. So we done the stand down, and that's all. We are not working. Another thing, I personally tend to do it when you're sitting at your bed, on your computer, or whatever, at your desk. I tend to lose my time, so I'm just like constantly on the computer. So really important thing is to check your time and schedule your breaks. There are really a lot of different techniques to do it. It can be like simple alarm, just, I don't know, every 1 hour or so you can set up and do a break. Or you can drink, for example, more tea, so you have a break to go to your kitchen, make your tea or whatever. There is also a technique called Pomodoro. I think a lot of people know about it. It's a timer that's, I don't know, I think it's 20 minutes and then 15 and 10 minutes break, 5 minutes break. So it's just a timer, but it's called the technique. And another thing is that exercise for your eyes. So it's also kind of like a break. So you can say, let's say 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, it doesn't matter. But you do some exercises to make your vision better. And it's also like a rest from your trying to do. But of course, everyone is different. So I'm sure you will have something else to say and to share with everyone. Another interesting thing that is always neglected is mental health. I think when you are working remotely, like general in a normal life situation, maybe it's not that bad because you still your hobbies, you can still meet your friends, you can still go outside, you can still do whatever you like after work. But in current situation, when you are locked and when you are quarantined, it is really important to check your mental health, but also mental health of your colleagues and of your teammates. Here you can see some ceremonies that we are doing, and actually we are doing all of them. The first thing is a regular coffee or tea time. So at about 10 or 10:30, we have a coffee time where it's not mandatory. So whoever wants can just jump into a call and we can drink coffee together or drink tea together and just chit chat, small talk about whatever happening, not work related. Or it can even be work related, it doesn't matter. It's just to give a feeling that you are still connected to your team. Another thing that like bigger than this is a lunch together. So usually at the office, we bring our own lunch and sit together as a team, or even is a project team. There are about 50 people, and sometimes we rotate and we having lunches together. And now we don't have it, so we decided it would be really cool to have lunch together. And you can see from the picture we already managed to do it, and it was really fun. I have never experienced that before, and maybe I will continue doing this. I'm sure that most of you have friends abroad, or when someone is traveling, it's always nice to be connected, and such thing as lunches together is a nice thing not to lose this connection. Another interesting thing is open walking room. So what does it mean? We set up a link. So basically it's a chat link with a camera, of course, and you can connect to the room, to the chat at whatever time you want, and you can stay at that room. So it's like working together, and it's a feeling that you are still at the same space with other people. Maybe the downside of this is sometimes it feels like the big brother is watching you, because you are always on your camera and someone is always sitting there and watching. So it's not for everyone. But again, all these things, they are not mandatory. If you want, you can do it. If don't, then don't do it. Another thing is a care meeting, a wellness meeting. Since the situation is not really good, and mental health of different people are different, right? So it's really important to know the feelings of your teammates. Are they stressed? Are they terrified of what's going on? Or are they chill and relax? So once a week we have this meeting where we just talk about the situation that is happening in the country, that situation that is happening outside, predictions, what will be, how we are feeling about this, etc. Feedback. In ThoughtWorks, actually, feedback culture is really important. And we don't want to lose it when we are remote. So we are still doing feedback. Basically, you just grab someone, it's one-on-one, and you just give a feedback of, for example, how did you pair together? So let's say you are having pair programming day together, you're pairing with someone, and then at the end of the day, you can give a feedback to the person. How was the pairing? How this person did? How do you feel about this? Another thing is game playing together. We're still in discussion of this, but we really want to implement this. And at the bottom of the slide, you can see some links. One link that we really want to try, it's a virtual board games. There are really a lot of them, and we're still in investigation what game we should make the first one, but let's see, we really want to try it. And another link, it's like online games, virtual rooms. You can even watch YouTube together, and you can even watch movies together. You just sing and then watch together. We also want to try it, but maybe next week. That's it, actually. Maybe you have questions or...
There is one question in the chat, Lena. Someone asked whether the colleagues with children also bring their children to the lunch events.
Yes, sometimes they do. And it's really fun because we can see their children, and we can also like say hi and meet them. So it was really cool. I think we're having lunches almost every day. And it sounds cool, but it is cool.
Regarding the virtual room, we tried something similar, that we have always a room open. It's called more or less virtual coffee machine, but just in a smaller team, where if you are between working and drink a coffee or a tea, that you can directly connect with others which are also maybe in the same situation and want to talk a little bit, chat a little bit. So it's not the whole time, but yeah.
There's another question coming in. It says...
Question, if I have a stand down before we started working remotely. No, we didn't. It was created when we started working remotely, just to know when to finish work, and just to know that after this we are not working anymore. We're not allowed. We will say this within our team, that no. And so far it was really useful. So after this, okay, you are done.
Yeah, maybe also something very funny I never did before. This morning I got a tweet that said, "Hey, I'm open for some coffee. Who wants to join?" So we exchanged a Zoom link. And then I talked to two people I only knew from Twitter before, and I kind of met them in person. And it was really nice. We had like half an hour conversation. It was really a cool way to start the day. Really appreciate that.
There is a question. What if you have ideas after stand down? You need to save them for the next day and to give them on your stand-up.
Is it easy for you to follow this rule?
It was hard, actually, at the beginning. But now it's really easy. I think we got used to it. It's a hard question. The question is, how do we handle part-time workers that may leave early? It's a hard question because we don't have any part-time workers. So we all work full day. And we have only people from Germany and UK, so it's just one time difference. So it's kind of the same. I have no idea, honestly, how it would work with the people who are half day, because I never experienced that.
Any questions or any else questions, ideas, thoughts to share?
Does someone want to share a team ritual that came up this week that you didn't have before and think it's worth sharing? Okay, so we have another speaker tonight. I'm really excited because he texted me on Slack this morning and said, hey, I have something to share. It might get a little nerdy now, but I'm really excited to see that. So is Marcus here?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly. Whoa, nice sound. So can you share the slides or should we share them?
I tried to share my desktop.
Okay, so then thank you very much, Lena. I only asked you yesterday, I think, so you had very short time for preparation, but it was really nice that you shared your ideas with us. I really appreciate that, and I hope you'll be with us the next time we do this as well.
So can anyone see my desk now?
Yes.
Yes, so thank you for letting me tell you something about TMUX. I saw in Slack that you asked for short pitches about remote working tools. And I think this tool you can use every day, so that's not related to the situation we have right now. And I have no slides about me. So my name is Markus Assauer. I work for Funke Media Group in Essen as a system engineer. And so I mainly more operations focused. And yeah, I want to show you TMUX. What is it? It's a terminal multiplexer. So everyone should know on Linux or BSD-based systems, you can do some remote connection via SSH, and you have your terminal, but sometimes this one terminal is not enough. And if you have your normal desktop, you can open up some more windows with terminals in it. But with TMUX, you can use one connection to have multiple terminals. And you can let the session run in background, and you can disconnect and connect again and attach to the session right where you leave it. So if you have opened some files or if you read your mails with MUD or something, everything will be at this point you leave the session. It runs on most Linux systems or BSD, macOS, Solaris. And one of the big advantages of this tool is that you can configure the status line and the key bindings, everything. nearly everything can be configured to your needs. And perhaps someone knows Screen, which is a very similar tool and perhaps more well-known. Yeah, but how can Tmux help me now? Yeah, one of the biggest issues is that you can run your tools even if you are not connected to your system. So you have a small Wi-Fi outage or some connection problems and your connection is lost and you were perhaps dumping a database or something what runs a longer time, then the process is stopped and you have to start it again. If you work in a Tmux session, the session runs even if you get disconnected or you disconnect by your own because you know the job is running for hours and you want to leave. You can group your important terminals to named sessions. So perhaps if you work on different environments, perhaps production and QA or dev, and you want to have your favorite system connections in one session, maybe all your front-end servers or something, then you can group this into sessions and can attach to your session named production servers or a QA environment, something like this. Even if you have multiple windows in your session, you can have in one window multiple panes. And now it's hard to suggest now, perhaps, but I will have a small demo at the end where I can show you in small, simple examples what to do or what you can do and give you a suggestion how to use it. And one really interesting way to use it is co-working. So if two people connect to the same server, they can share one of the sessions. You can see what the other people are doing there, or you can do some how can I say? Yeah, teaching. You can do teaching. You can show other people how to configure this, or at the end you can do pair programming with this because all connected users see the same screen and see you typing. And yeah, I already mentioned that it's fully configurable and open source. Yes, the important commands I mentioned here only if you later on want to look at the slides to see what you can do. No one will remember this if I only show this slide. So only it's, yeah, what I will show you. You have key bindings. Everything works with key bindings, so you don't need a mouse for this. And perhaps if you know Screen, you see the difference. Screen works everything with Control A, and here it's Control B, but you can change that in the config file. And I want to try the live demo now. I hope it works. Can you see my terminal now?
Yeah, finally a terminal. Hooray.
Yeah.
Okay, then let me start. When you first connect to a system, you can type a tmux ls to see if there are any sessions. And I've tried a little bit with this session called test. And if I want to connect to this session, I say tmux attach, and with -t I can give the name, and it's test. And I changed the height of my Vokabellücke. So let me start with a new one. So I detached from this session, and I hope if I start a new one, you can see more of the screen. So new session with the name demo. And now I have a blank screen. In the status line can be configured. Write what you need. You can print your IP address or something like that. And I can rename my window so that I know this is my window for top, perhaps. I can run top here and let me create a new one. So the name does not change, but you can, session 0 is the top. But one really great feature is I can split this window you see right now, vertical and horizontal. Let me try this. So you can do some pings down here and switch in the other window to check your routes or something like that. These are not the most senseful examples, but I hope you get the opportunities you have, and you can split vertical right now, and every session works on its own, so you have no limitations for that. Only my big fonts limit it, but I've learned 1 or 2 presentations before to look at the screen that it is readable over remote. And so now you can change the windows right with your key bindings and your cursor keys. Yeah. And what I can show you, let me connect to the same host again with a second session. And if I do here, one moment, I adapt it so you can read something. Now you see I have 2 tmux sessions, demo and test. And if I connect to demo, I missed the A. You can see the old window we have right over here. And yeah, you can see that my resolution in the slowest resolution wins. So if you have one connection with perhaps full screen and one in a window, the full screen only shows the text or the screen of the window. That could we see here very well, but you see exact the same on both screens. So you have to suggest, you have colleagues in other countries or cities or only buildings, and you can cooperate on working on the same system. Yeah. Cause I... Huh? Yeah. That's all from my side. If you have any questions, please let me know. And I hope I hit the 2 to 5 minute window very well. I let my screen shared if someone has a question and I should show something.
Other questions so far?
Are there people in the call who are using Tmax?
Maybe not yet, but later on, hopefully.
Yeah, well, someone says, yes, cannot live without Tmax. My colleague is forcing me. Oh, I like it. Yeah.
Perhaps if you don't want to learn all the key bindings and you are using mostly Ubuntu or Debian systems, there's a tool that works around Tmux. It's called BioBoo, from an Ubuntu, a former Ubuntu server guy, where you can use your function keys to create new window. You can see still my screen, right? I show you the website. Sorry for my spelling. This works with Tmux or screen, but preferable with Tmux. And all the key bindings they tried, as you can see here, on to the function keys. So yeah, that you don't have to learn all the complicated bindings you saw on my slides.
Okay, I just heard there are some questions left from the last section, but can we maybe first finish this this round? And if you have further questions, can you please ask them? Okay, if there are no further questions, then I will try to answer some of the others. There was one question to Marcus, which microphone he's using. Yeah, that is a good question because the quality was really amazing.
It's a very cheap headset, so
okay,
I try to put my camera on. Hope you can see something. It's a very cheap China import gaming headset. I think for 10 euros or so.
China rocks. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting us know.
But no, I don't have any USB port free. It can make some blue light, so that was the former killer feature of it, not the sound.
Okay, then there is another question. I'm not sure whether I get it right, but someone asked, in our opinion, it's okay to go to the grocery store during a day for 15 to 30 minutes. So this is, I guess, connected to the corona virus. I would say my personal opinion, you have to do it, and you just should make sure that you keep distance to other people. Most stores might ask you to queue in front of the door and only let few people in. And I also saw today that there are some barricades around the counters where they ask you to keep distance from the people who are working in the shop. But in general, I think it's fine to go to the grocery store. But I'm no expert. If there's someone in the call who has a more medical background, then I'm happy to learn. Then there was another question. Oh, no, I'm in the wrong side. How do you handle topic like knowledge base, dedicated application shared drive? Okay, so I think that is now back to the work remote topic. Does someone want to answer this? Are there any ideas around? Yes, so Confluence was the first answer. For those of you who do not know Confluence, Confluence is a wiki application provided by a company called Atlassian. You can either have it in the cloud as a software as a service solution, or you can have it on premise. And I don't get any money from them, but it's definitely the best wiki software I know. And I'm kind of happy to work with it. It has some glitches like every other tool maybe, and maybe it takes a little getting used to, but I really like it, and I'm always happy if I work on a project that has Confluence. Now let's have a battle. Who doesn't like Confluence? Hands up.
I think Confluence is really great, but the usage of memory and CPU and so is not the best. So you need a great team for a Confluence instance. For little teams, it doesn't fit, I think. Or you get the cloud-hosted version.
I think in general, what I really like is if it's a wiki software independent. Confluence, of course, is great, especially if you have Jira, but also other wikis are quite nice. And I think there are a lot of solutions for that. Maybe not with such great integration for code and stuff, but
So there are some answers to this in the chat. So maybe the person who asked the question can just follow up. Maybe another thing I try to do is keeping documentation as close to the code as possible. So besides, I think in our team there exist two main points of information. One is Confluence, and the other one is the readmes that we write inside the repositories. And I think things that are related to the codebase should go into the README, and things that are related to the, let's say, connection of different things, or maybe more high-level topics, maybe planning topics, team topics, we rather put them in Confluence, and then of course have the sprint plannings and everything in a ticket system like Jira or Azure DevOps or Trello or whatever. I hope this answers the question. And now it seems that we have a discussion around Confluence. There are shortcuts to insert code in Confluence. You can start writing a curly brace and then type code, and then you get a code block, and in the code block you can insert your code. I can't say much about the recommendations that have been given below with the shortcuts because I don't know that. So, any other questions? Okay. No questions anymore. Since there was a question way earlier, someone asked for tool recommendations for collaboration. And I think, Marty, we have one slide with at least a few tools and a few links. We didn't prepare much for that because actually I was hoping that the attendees would bring something. So if you have a tool that you want to announce or say, hey, I learned that last week and it helped me with the situation, then this is the right time.
I think writing is preferred. Chatting.
Yeah, I think today we are more on the introvert side. There is an interesting question. I forwarded into the round. Would you feel comfortable hiring new team members with the whole office working remotely? You can talk, right?
Yeah, I can talk. I think it's really hard to get somebody onboarded right now and really to include in a team. I think an existing team can handle the situation quite well, but onboarding somebody new is quite hard.
Yeah, for sure. On the other hand, I heard tomorrow, and I really liked the quote that within the next couple of weeks, we will figure out in which companies we want to work afterwards. And maybe it's true for teams as well. So I think the teams who are well prepared for this situation and manage to keep the velocity high, maybe it's really a good sign for a team. And maybe if you even manage to onboard new people during those days, I think it's really a sign of quality for your team.
I totally agree with that because, like, for me, it has been a huge culture shock. I have been working remotely from 2010 to 2015, 2016. And I was a couple of years out of work because we live outside of the country. And then, like, now when we are here in Germany and I see that it's not common to, or the companies or the managers they don't trust for the people if they work remote. You have to create that trust, but that everything starts from the task and something what you can measure, that it doesn't matter where you work. And then with the people, it is way much harder to do it remote. But when you have the rules, when everybody is following those and you really put some effort on that, you can do it. But it's not easy. It is also a huge thing for the managers and the leaders. They need to learn that.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that was the trust issue is something we really have to learn. Definitely. Yeah.
I think I will learn it on the hard way because on the 1st of April I will start a new job. And I heard today they have cleared the office out. So I have to start remote from first day. Or on the first day, I have to come to the company, get my stuff and get out there to work from home. So I think in a few weeks, I can tell you how it is to get onboarded in a new team in this situation.
Use a lot of videos and try to make the connection like that. If you don't see the one who is talking or your colleagues, it's super difficult, but use videos and put others to use it also.
Yeah. I mean, I only realized how bad the situation is right now, I think, starting this week, when I talked to so many people who are out of work right now and don't have the chance to work remotely as we do and have a work that can easily be done remotely. But on the other hand, I see a big chance for maybe many things that are related with what we call digital transformation in Germany. And I hope that this is taken as a chance by the companies on many different levels and from many different aspects, be it using cloud resources, being trusting people that they do their work at home as well, being prepared for remote work in the future, whatever. I think there are so many chances in this. It will surely not make the bad sides go away, but I hope that we really learn how to take it as a chance as well.
And I don't know why the companies are afraid of the remote work, because you all have colleagues who are not so productive, even that they are staying in the office next to the manager. They do all other stuff than the work, or they fill their days with something else, Facebook or something else. And it's like, you can do it in the office, but you can do it in remote, then nobody sees you. But still, it's a huge challenge for the people, because it's not only for the leaders, it's also our mindset has to change, and we have to take responsibility of our tasks, which are affecting the other colleagues and the customers and all that. But I can already see it in our area. There are a lot of people remote, probably, and I don't see them working. I see more people outside than even in the weekends. So hopefully they will learn at some point.
It's always hard to read the chat. Maybe if you have a microphone, you're also invited to join the conversation.
I just realized that I was on mute while talking. Okay. So I wanted to say that I really appreciate the discussion. I don't want to interrupt it, but if there's someone who wants to share a tool or a method that he or she learned during the last week, that would be a perfect time, or maybe also tools that you used before this.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
How loud? It's okay?
It's perfect.
Okay. We used I'm from Stuttgart, from the University of Hohenheim, and we started to make some first video conferences within our team. I'm at the public affairs team, so-called Hochschulkommunikation, and we use Jitsi because it's just really simple. Do you know about it? Meet.jitsi.
I read it today. It's open source, or?
Yes, it's open source, and there's a free service hosted by 8x8. I don't know about how it's pronounced. This is really simple. It's just you have to hit the URL in the browser and access the microphone and the camera, and you're on. Just defining the room by the URL, and this was so simple that many people could use it, or can use it, without any reading any manuals or something. We tested also the company. We have an Adobe now. It's called Adobe. This video conference tool from Adobe. Someone knows it. And there we have a installation, and we can book rooms and all these things. But this was too much overhead, and just using the simple way that makes it, getting done.
Would totally agree, because I think the workforce, if they are not used to, it's the hardest way to have someone supporting you at your desk. So.
Yeah, really. And there are people that are not how I'd say used with those tools, because they are just Redakteure, editors, web editors, or press related guys, and they're not that they have not that technical background as the most of us. This was my experience and my tip for some tools. Yes, Adobe Connect. There's in the chat.
Cool. Thanks for sharing. The tool that I really want to have, and we have now 2 candidates that we try, was some virtual whiteboard, and I just share one link. The first tool we tried is called Miro, or I don't know how it's pronounced, and it basically lets you put virtual sticky notes on a whiteboard, and you can then move them around in the team, add comments to it, organize them, and I really liked it. It's a cloud solution, so you can start anytime. You can work on them with multiple people. It's not as convenient as having sticky notes on a whiteboard. It takes a little more time, but so far I really like it. And the second tool we are currently investigating it is called Mural, I think. I share the link. It's similar, maybe exactly the same, but a different vendor. And from the videos and the tutorials I saw so far, I also think this can help a lot if you need some visualization across distributed teams. Are there any other tools you want to share?
So maybe for whiteboarding, we had used sometimes, of course, because it's included in our subscription anyway, is Microsoft Jamboard, Google Jamboard, which can also collect, and you write collaborative on documents and can add notes and stuff like that.
Okay, let's try this. Hi.
Hi, we can hear you.
Oh, great. So
Yes.
we have been extensively trying Microsoft Teams, and I was really surprised that it's working quite well, even on Linux. And so we're using this even for whiteboarding stuff and for collaboration stuff. And well, I don't like that Microsoft is doing this, but well, it's doing a good job of that.
We used it also as well, and also even if it works on Linux, it works also in Chromebooks. So I think they did a really great job that it really works on every platform. So we have also Mac users, Windows users. They're also quite happy with that.
I just added another tool to the chat that we frequently use. It's called Fun Retro. And it's really useful if you want to run an online retrospective. It's very basic. You have columns where you can add cards, and you can create the columns like what went well, what needs to be improved, and I don't know, questions or whatever. So you can create the columns as you like, and you can vote on them, you can merge them. And I think you have 5 boards for free. And if you want to have more than 5 boards, then you need to pay for it. But yeah, it really works quite well. Just looking through the chats, there was one more tool that was mentioned in the Slack chat. I also added it. I can't say anything about it, so if anyone used it, feel free to say something about it. So if there's no more discussion, I think we can let it be for today. I really enjoyed the session. Malte, do you want to say something?
The question would be maybe so that if we close that, if someone is interested and maybe have some ideas for the next time and so, or feedback, what could be done, maybe that if they want to stay in the session, maybe we close the stream, but I think it would be a good opportunity to talk about that or collect some stuff.
Yeah, we already plan to have maybe 1 or 2 follow-up sessions. Also to have a platform to exchange our experience with home office after 2 weeks or after 3 weeks, because I guess there might be new challenges. There might be new challenges that come up when you do it longer. Yeah, and I'm also happy to learn about new tools. So if you want to present something, just ping us, and we want to provide a platform for that as well.
Okay, then I close the stream. So, oops. I think we will share the slides. Some tools are already there. I think also the tools from Michael are in the slides.
Yes, the tools are in the slides. We will share the slides and add them as a comment to the Meetup event. And maybe we go through the comments once again and extract the information. Yeah.
Cool. Then I close the stream. Thanks for participating. Happy to hear feedback.
Thank you.
Thanks. Stay safe. Bye.